You say what? Oh, for Christ's sake. It's the VMX show, season 7.
Bum, 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 bum. Yes, welcome to the VMX show. How you guys doing? This is the VMX show, season 7, episode, I think it's 9. And I do got a lot to go through. I got your questions and comments. The new question of the week feature will finally be integrated into the show. We got news. We got all this shit to talk about. So let's start right off with your questions and comments. That's what we're going to start with. So let's see. I got to bring it up. I'm a little behind here. It's 5:48 a.m. and I'm doing the show here while recording it. So let's see. Okay, I got a bunch of comments here. Let's start off with Zach Pellegrino said, okay, see, the only reason I'm reading this is to call this person an asshole. He commented, first comment, I love you. First of all, posting first or any of its derivatives on any YouTube video or article or anything on the internet is a form of assholism that is almost unrefined. It's raw assholism. And tacking that creepy I love you on there, no, it doesn't change the fact that you posted first. So, I'm going to say fuck you, and I'm going to flag you for spam and remove the comment. Because I don't put up with that shit. If you have nothing to say, don't say anything. Don't comment. First, who cares? Nobody cares. Let's see, Prince Boo 85 says, is the cake a lie? Your mom's a lie. And then he replies, well, he has another. My actual question is, do you have a 3DS, and if so, what is your favorite game on it so far? Well, I will tell you that I have a 3DS. I told you guys long ago that I'm sick of these if so questions, so that's as far as I'm going. Uber McPhailsauce says, sorry about the comment I left in German. I was tired and random. Yeah, I guess you were so tired that you thought random was funny. He says, anyway, on to my next question. What do you think is the most underrated instrument in rock and or metal? Personally, I think a lot of people don't understand the importance of the bass. I gotta agree with you. If you want to hear what like heavy metal would sound like without the bass guitar, just listen to And Justice for All by Metallica. And I know what you're thinking, I like that album, lots of great songs on it. Yeah, but they sound like crap. Compare the way it sounded to the way, the albums before and after it, the self-titled album after it, Master of Puppets before it sounded. There's no bass in it, and it was so buried in the mix. So, that's just a shame. It's 500 said, just wondering, are you ever going to bring back shows like Clearing Confusion? No, Clearing Confusion is done. I don't know how many times I can say that and still get these questions, but no, that's done. We're moving on to other things. Puckness says, did you know you play much better with your voice in your ear? Did you know you play much better with your voice in your ear? I have no idea what you're talking about, and I almost kind of don't want to know. So, yeah. CPman05 says, free live, oh boy, been a while since I have posted a comment on the VMX show. Still sounding real great, Necro. My question, do you think Bioshock is as racist as people are saying? Well, I assume you mean Bioshock Infinite, and I've played through it, and is the game racist? Absolutely not. A game can't be racist unless it's something along the lines of like ethnic cleansing or something. Are there racist people in the game? Yes, of course. It takes place in 1912, and people were a lot more racist back then, and it takes place specifically in a city run by the founders who were huge racists themselves. So, of course, there are racist things in the game. That doesn't mean the game itself is racist. Kind of reminds me of, like, when Spike Lee was bitching about Django Unchained, saying he doesn't like the fact that they use the N-word in it. First off, he hadn't even seen the movie when he said that. And secondly, of course they use the N-word. It takes place during slavery times. That's the way people spoke. Why, do you want them to go around saying African American? The term didn't exist back then. So just a reminder that depiction does not equate itself to condoling something. He also posted, and on Celtic Frost, I'm good friends with former drummer Reed St. Mark. Just a cool thing to say. Oh, well, good for you. Let's see. Savage Broadcast says, good stuff, Necro, and he has 2 numbered questions. Number 1, going on from that guy who talked about disciplining children, what are your sentiments on education, and is there anything you would do different? See, that's the kind of question that I don't get. What are my sentiments on education? Like, I don't even know what you're asking me. And number 2, this is sort of a sequel to a question I asked a long time back, but given that you love music and don't like musicals, I'm curious as to why. Do you find them too absurd or implausible, or do you not like most of the act? Alright, I mean, there's a big difference between liking music and liking musicals, and I can't believe you're asking me why. That is a ridiculous question. That's sort of like, if somebody liked apples but they didn't like apple pie, you'd be like, well, why don't you like it? Like, he just doesn't like it. You know, by the way, I love apple pie. But my point is, I don't have, like, I hate when people ask me why. When I give my opinion, that's the end of it, as far as I'm concerned. And then people, they feel like I gotta justify my opinions to them, and I don't. Let's see. Okay, this is marked as spam. I don't know why I'm hitting not spam. Okay, Ever001 Writer says, this is my first question and love watching your videos. This is my question. What languages can you speak and want to learn? I speak English, and I don't particularly want to learn any other languages, mostly because it's not easy to learn a language. You know, as an adult, you really have to learn them when you're a kid. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but I'm moving on. Interesting question. Jupe Ranger says, okay, alright. He just starts with and, so I don't know if he's replying to something, or I don't see anything else here, but he says, and what an amazing show you produced too, good sir. What site do you go to translate languages at? I knew Alta Vista did so at one time, but now, wow, Alta Vista, that's an old reference. I think they got absorbed by Yahoo. I used Google Translator. It's about the same quality as any other translator, and it's easy to use. It plays like a billion different languages in there. Tyrant Hunter says, good show. What's your thoughts on the next Mass Effect? Should BioWare just stop, or should they continue making the series? Of course they should continue making the series. They're making loads of money off of it. People like it. I don't see why they wouldn't. Levite0401 says, hey Necro, gotta ask, where did you come up with your name? And okay, well, I'm not going to answer that because I've told that story like a million times on the show, so you're just going to have to search for one of the old episodes. And he says, and what made you decide on the avatar you use on YouTube? Well, that's Magus Dragon Lee. He's from Chronicles of Dark Lord. I work for Kazareth Studios. We make Chronicles of the Dark Lord. So that sort of answers you right there. Hi, okay, actually, I want to go back to that for a second. I love getting asked about that because then I get to talk about it. I get to talk about Kazareth Studios and Chronicles of Dark Lord. So, of course, I put it on there because I want people to ask about it. So there you go. Okay, Hi Elvin Gamer says, I've heard you said you prefer DC Comics over Marvel. I had a hard time deciding. Well, in general, I think the Marvel Universe has the better heroes. DC seems to have the best science fiction. They come up with some interesting stuff I like. I was just wondering how you came to the conclusion DC was your favorite. I'm not going to see, this is once again, they're asking me to justify my opinions, because DC's books are good and Marvel's books are not. There's some exceptions, but that's the reason. I don't understand why I would have to explain it any further than that. Slayer Darth, Smersh or Spectre, which organization do you think poses more of a threat to Bond, and why? I think I've answered this. I don't know, this question seems a little familiar to me, but I'm not sure. I think that Smersh was more of a threat, but as to why, I'm not going to answer that. I don't see. If you want to ask my opinion, that's fine. If you want me to justify my opinion, then that can happen. Can you recommend some of the best character actors working in Hollywood today? What do you mean recommend some of them? Like what, you're going to hire them? I don't know. Like, these questions are getting weird lately. I'm going to move on. Let's see. What else? What do you work as at Kazareth Studios, and what is the most interesting video game project you've ever worked on? Wow. Okay. Well, I'm the vice president of Kazareth Studios, and I work on a lot of different things there. I started off as an artist, moved on to director of graphic design. Now I'm the vice president. I have my hands in pretty much everything so far. Gotta say, having a lot of fun working on episode 2, so you guys are going to be blown away by that. And he says, did you read any of Roger Ebert's reviews? Although not necessarily agreeing with him at the time, and I find plenty of his reviews to be very insightful. Hold on a second. Guys, do yourself a favor, and I must have asked this about 1 billion times, but I'm going to ask 1,000,001,001. Before you hit post, sit there and read your comment out loud to yourself, because sometimes I'm having a hard time parsing the grammar here. But I get what you're going at. Yeah, I did read Roger Ebert's reviews, and I didn't always agree with him, but he was very thoughtful in his approach, at least up until the end when he started becoming a provocateur. But he was a guy who really loved movies, and he had a lot of passion, and he tended, until the end at least, to be very smart in the way he approached movie reviews. So that was he was a very good writer. Okay, CP the Best 45 says, hey Necro, can you help me? I download Street Fighter. No, you didn't download. You downloaded Street Fighter EX and EX2 Plus, but I don't know what to go. I don't know what to go to for the CHD files. Can you help me, please? Also, I get, and that's where it ends. CHD. I can't really sit here and walk you through how to pirate things, but the CHD files are probably in the same place you got the ISO files. So just, go back to whatever website you used and they should have it. Tim Fife says, I'm a fan of South Park. I just can't keep up with it. They change it so much. So is there a question there? Or I don't know what that has to do with anything. They haven't really changed South Park all that much. So, yeah. Aloda 115, who I mentally refer to as a lot of vagina, because, that's funny. She says, hey NecroVMX, I have a question for you. Which game do you really enjoy LPing? I always have a really good time doing the Mega Man games. As a matter of fact, I've done Mega Man 1 and 2, and I plan on doing another one. It's not going to be Mega Man 3, it's going to be the first Game Boy game. Fairly soon. It's not the next LP, but it should be coming up. I really enjoy those. And of course, RPGs are fun to LP. As a matter of fact, I haven't really LP'd anything that I don't enjoy, mostly because I pick LPs based on what games I'm going to enjoy playing and LPing. So pretty much all of them, actually. But I do have a lot of fun with the Mega Man ones. Irish Talk says, hey Necro, I got the YouTube downloader installed. Do you mind if I put some of your shows on my MP3 or shows or that? Oh yeah, go ahead and do that. I used to provide MP3 links myself, but it got to be such a pain in the ass that I stopped doing it. But and there's so many different websites and things and applications that you could use to do it yourself. So if you want to do that, I mean, yeah, sure, certainly. Let's see, the Moogle Master, here's a question for you. Are there any punk bands you're into? Not really. I mean, there's a few that I'll listen to. I was kind of into Green Day back in the day, but it's not my type of music. Also, did you ever own a TurboGrafx 16 back in the day? I never did. I'm wonder the opinion that if you owned one and realized there weren't that many good games for it coming out, you would then be into the Genesis, since the library of games is really kind of similar. I never had a TurboGrafx 16, nor did I really know anybody that had one. I was aware of it. I even remember the Turbo Express, which was the handheld version of it that also had like kind of a really weak TV tuner, which was kind of the way they were trying to compete with the Game Boy. Didn't work. No, I never had that, and I wasn't into the Genesis either. It was Super NES all the way. He also says, one last thing. Normally I ask you to do requests of games, and this time I'd like you to request a game for me to play. I'm not going to do that because I don't watch your channel, so there's not much point to that. Let's see, Nelson Dubois said, would you like gaming consoles to still be represented and marketed in the form of bits? Absolutely not. It was a meaningless thing then. It's even more meaningless now. It tries to simplify the power and range of a console into a number, and it's meaningless. It's inaccurate. I mean, the first 16-bit console was the Intellivision. Try to compare the Intellivision to the Sega Genesis or the TurboGrafx 16 or the Super NES, and it doesn't stack up. Let's see, Representing Rodina says, hey there, Necro, I just wanted to thank you for all the shows you've done over the past few years. I started watching your Urban Legends of video games last summer, and I still watch all of your old shows. They're extremely informative, and I want to personally thank you for devoting so much time and effort researching and synthesizing this info for all of us. I want to thank you for using proper grammar and punctuation. That was easy to read. You're welcome, though. That was a nice comment. Let's see. Insane Wayne 253. I always enjoy this guy's comments. He says, I agree about eating something hot and having flavor. I just tried Ghost Pepper Nacho Cheese by Mrs. Renfro's. It's painfully hot, but absolutely delicious, especially if you make nachos or a quesadilla. That sounds good. I dare not try the Trinidad Moruga. The ghost pepper burns immediately at around 1.2 to 1.4 Scoville. I think you mean 1.2 to 1.4 million Scoville. The Moruga builds to a full 1.4 million Scoville. Oh, so it's a slow burn. Okay. He also asked, what hero or villain would you cross over to another universe for? Not the best example would be bring the Joker to Marvel or Deadpool to DC. I was thinking about this, and I mean, I can't think of anything that hasn't kind of already been done. I think that they could do certain things better. I'd like to see a lot of like DC Marvel crossovers done better, but I don't know. That's interesting, though. I'm going to move on, though, because I can't really come up with anything good for that. The Return of Kali Yuga says, what's the worst example of fanboy rage have ever had to... I think you're missing a word there. Have ever had to deal with? I can recall somebody who shall remain nameless going apeshit of the fact that I find Final Fantasy VI to be overrated. Sorry, but it is. Sorry, but it isn't. It's a great game and all, but Final Fantasy VII is a better game. No, it's not. I mean, they're both good, but 6 is clearly the superior effort. And he also says this was at a family reunion and he made a complete fool out of himself. Well, he should have done that. But you want to see fanboy rage, just go to any video I've done of any wrestling game or Dragon Ball Z game, and you can see all of the worst examples of fanboy rage. But by far the worst was Ramat Pak, was a guy, and this wasn't even a video game, this was a movie, the movie Thunderball. I gave it a 6 out of 10 when I reviewed it, and I stand by that. It is not a terrible movie, not even a bad movie, just sort of a slightly above average movie that's kind of dull, but has good moments to it. And this guy just ranted and raged about how it's a 10 out of 10, and it always will be, and I'm an idiot, and it turned into this whole huge thing. So, yeah, Ramat Pak, that was the worst. SUrban21 says, Dear Necro, growing up in New York, which is the pizza capital of the world, what is your opinion of many of the chain pizzas such as Domino's, Papa John's, and the like? I actually was going to mention something about this later in the news, but I will answer your question. He says, do you think they are good or just fried dough with sauce on it, as I've heard from others who live in the East Coast? Thank you, have a great day. They are all awful. It is just... I don't know if it's not fried, it's baked dough, but it is really just like the basic components of pizza thrown together without any of the finesse. I've eaten at Pizza Hut. It was not exactly a good experience. It's just, I don't know how you can call that pizza, but I guess if you've never had anything better. I've noticed something actually that, local chain pizza is not always good. It depends on pretty much the area you're in. It really is a geographical thing, and I think that has to do with source of ingredients more than skill. But skill has a lot to do with it, but I think source of ingredients is very important. And I've noticed that the worse the local pizza is, the more popular Pizza Hut becomes. So if you look at where Pizza Hut is the most popular, you're looking at Japan. They're nuts over Pizza Hut there. They love it. So I'm thinking the local pizza in Japan must be a travesty. It must be really, really bad. New York City actually has 2 Pizza Huts. There's one there's one that's just like hanging around. I don't think anybody goes to it. They're both in touristy locations. I forget where one is. The other's in not Grand Central, Penn Station. The new Penn Station. And I just for fun, I went on Yelp once to look up the reviews from New Yorkers for Pizza Hut, and it was all 1 star, and it was all like, don't even think about it. What are you, insane? You're in the pizza capital of the world. You're going to go to Pizza Hut. What's wrong with you? And I'm sure that the only, being at a train station, I'm sure the only business they do is tourists and people just passing through that don't know any better or don't have the time. But yeah, I just thought I'd share that because it's kind of funny. Let's see. The Game Range 1 says, Hey Necro, you say that Sony is in trouble, but what about Nintendo? From what I've gathered, it isn't selling very well and has practically zero third-party support. Do you think this might spell the end of Nintendo as a console developer? Absolutely not, because what is the highest-selling console on the market right now? And 3DS. You got to listen at the end of the show when I do those sales figures. The Wii U isn't selling as well as the Wii did, but that doesn't mean that it's a complete failure. As a matter of fact, it's a slow start that actually is a lot like what the PlayStation 3 went through, and the PlayStation 3 is more popular now. Sony is in trouble because they release consoles at a very high price point, and they have a very slow start, and it's not helping them. Like Nintendo fumbles a little bit with the 3DS, with the Wii U, but they have the 3DS to fall back on. Sony it took them 5 years for the PlayStation 3 to become a successful console, and now that it's finally coming into their own, it seems like they're rushing out this PlayStation 4. They're the ones in trouble. As for zero third-party support, you're not paying attention. Nintendo has plenty of third-party support. I don't know where you're gathering your info, but you need to listen to this show more. Let's see, Jazzmaster909, another comment marked as spam. That's because you posted a comment, deleted it, and then reposted. Don't do that. He says, which would you consider the more formidable enemy, the bouncer-type Big Daddy from the original Bioshock or the handyman from Bioshock Infinite? That's an interesting question. Definitely the bouncer-type Big Daddy. They were boss battles. Towards the end of the game, you get good at fighting them, and you're powered up, and you've taken a bunch of pictures, and you got upgrades in your weapons, and then along comes the bouncer elite to ruin your day. Also, like when you see the bouncer kind of like it's the first Big Daddy you see, he's kind of lumbering around and going real slow, and you think it's going to be like the mighty glacier, something that's very powerful and tough, but very slow, and you're going to be able to outmaneuver it. Then as soon as you enrage it, it comes zooming at you really fast, and you realize you're in trouble. At least that's what happened to me the first time I fought a Big Daddy. The bouncer's a joke. I love Bioshock Infinite, but not a very formidable enemy. It has a giant pulsating weak point right in its chest, and if you zap it with Shock Jockey, it thrusts its chest outwards when it's stunned. Just like, here, please aim your shotgun directly at my heart and shoot me 3 or 4 times. They don't have as much health. They're very easy to take down. I never had anything like a problem with the handyman. The handyman was easy. The Big Daddies, though, they're tough. Okay, let's see. Out of Saliva L5, that's gross. Okay, hey Nurgo, who the fuck is Nurgo? It's not like my name is written on the page. Where do you get Nurgo from? I'm just going to ignore that. You seem to know everything about video games, so I figured maybe you can clear up something for me. Growing up, I always thought Fox McCloud and the Star Fox team had robotic legs. It sure seems like it on the box art for the Super NES game, and to some extent on the start screen of Star Fox 64. Is this at all true, or is it just misleading box art like the crappy box art for Mega Man where he has a gun? Oh boy. I've heard sort of like some crazy rumors about the Star Fox team and the metal legs. It seems to be the original intention that Nintendo had, at least Nintendo of America, was that they did indeed have metal legs, that their legs were removed from the knee down and replaced by metal prosthetics. And the source for this is an issue of Nintendo Power, issue 47, which had Star Fox on the cover. And this is what they said about it. This was the blurb from Nintendo Power. It says, legless pilots can handle more G's than their legged brethren. When gravity forces blood from the brain to lower extremities, it causes the pilot to black out. But if you have no legs to force blood into, more blood can stay in the brain, and it's easier for the heart to pump blood back to the brain. Their legs were probably voluntarily amputated, as these are all trained pilots. Their futuristic society allows for prosthetics that allows them to walk and run normally, so there's no loss in performing these amputations. Of course, this is coming from Nintendo Power, which isn't as official as they wish they would. But, yeah, wow, that's sick. I don't even know if that's scientifically accurate. It kind of sounds like bullshit to me. It seems that that was the original intent, but the modern intent, if you look at the art from Star Fox Command or Star Fox Adventures, it seems that they're wearing boots that are just shiny. So maybe they intended at one point that they had metal legs, but at this point it's not the case. So I hope that clears it up for you, but unless you get somebody from Nintendo, from Nintendo, not Nintendo Power, and not Nintendo of America, I mean Japanese Nintendo, to say yay or nay on that, you're not going to know about it. So there you go. But I always found that to be a really weird thing. Let's see. Almighty Santa says, what is your stance on the so-called glam hair metal bands in the 1980s? Personally, I enjoy some of these bands, and most of them seem like prefab MTV bands with no substance. Don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing these bands, but that can't compare with other metal genres of the late 70s to early 90s. I'm more of an extreme metal and prog metal fan myself. Thrash is good too. One last thing, do you think Nintendo is repeating Sega's failures? No to the Nintendo question. As for the hair metal question, I like hair metal a lot, actually. I like all kinds of metal, but I think that the image is what made it seem like they're like sort of prefabricated, but if you just listen to the music, I think the modern equivalent would be like the metalcore bands. Like, look at Avenged Sevenfold. I remember the first time I heard them was actually from Guitar Hero, and I thought that they had a lot of talent and they seemed pretty good. And I got one of their albums, and I thought it was really good. And then I saw one of their videos, and I was like, wow, look at these assholes. Look at them. And it is true that looks do play a part in the way that people think of bands. And if I had seen what they looked like and what they acted like before listening to the music, it might have been more difficult to give them a chance. And that's an admission that not everybody can make, but it's true for pretty much everybody. People can say that it's not true, but it's true. Let's see. Okay. Apparently the Nergo thing was an autocorrect thing. Yeah, but Nergo is not a word, so I don't know. You got to fix your thing. Let's see. Kev Board Game says Darksiders 1 was better IMO. It's not like I asked, but okay. It's way more focused on action-adventure aspect. Darksiders 2 is just way too much. Still great, but not as great as the first one. Okay. Hawkstar5088 says, hey, Necro, I have a few questions. One, did you prefer Mario or Sonic? Definitely Mario. Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter? In the past, Street Fighter. These days, Mortal Kombat. And 3, did or will you get Injustice Gods Among Us? I have not played it yet. He also says, also what specific LP/request/other vid do you think was the most memorable? Oh, like basically my most memorable. Go watch the Garfield video. That Garfield, a week of Garfield in the Famicom. Finally, this is funny. Serpent21 comment says, Dear Necro, a dark day is among us, as later this year it was announced that Earthbound will be put on the Wii U Virtual Console for download. Are you worried that the easy availability of the game will create a new interest in the Mother series and more Mother games will flood our shorelines? I finally played this game on an emulator, and it is, as you said, highly overrated and mediocre. Maybe I only played it a little, but I didn't need to serve in World War II to know that it was violent and ugly. Yeah, I don't care. I mean, I was going to talk about this in the news anyway. I mean, actually, I think the opposite may hold true. I think that more people playing it may lead to more people realizing that it's not really as good as people say, and that there's a lot better games out there, But I don't know. I don't get the appeal of the Mother series personally. Yeah. So, anyway, I'm going to... that's it for questions and comments. And now we're going to get to Question of the Week. If you're unaware of what the question of the week is, I will be asking you guys a question and going over your answers every week on the Facebook page. If you're unaware of the Facebook page, go to facebook.com/NecroVMX. Last week I asked people, question of the week, what gaming crossover would you most like to see? Although it says sir, I typed it on a cell phone. Well, okay, so I got some really terrible answers this time. Some good ones, but mostly just like, okay, I'm not asking for joke answers. I don't know why people... I hope people think they're being funny and that they're not serious and they really want to see some of these. But I'm going to go through these and let's see. Okay, Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. Yes, absolutely. That's a great... I mean, everybody wants to see that. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Cheetah Men. See, that's awful. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see the Cheetah Men. It's like, come on, really? Let's see, this person said Shadow of the Colossus and Dark Cloud. No, that's awful. Shadow of the Colossus and Dark Cloud are so fundamentally different that's an even worse idea than Nobunaga's Ambition crossing over with Pokemon. They actually made that. Let's see, Pokemon and Skylanders. I could see that working. Nintendo versus Sega. Alright, I was looking for more specific than that, but okay. Grand Theft Auto and SSX Tricky. Like, what are they going to do? Rob people on a snowboard? Like, you're going to snowjack someone? That's dumb. Resident Evil and Nightmare Creatures. If anybody remembered Nightmare Creatures, that might be interesting. But the thing is, Nightmare Creatures was an awful piece of crap game that nobody bought. Sonic and Mega Man. Dr. Wily and Robotnik together would make for some crazy boss fights. I can kind of get behind that one. Zelda and Castlevania, I don't see how that would work. Duke Nukem and Serious Sam, that is a good one. I can see that working, especially since I think that Serious Sam was kind of a love letter to Duke Nukem as it is. Zelda and Okami, certainly they're similar. Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat again, okay. Bioshock and Kirby, see that you think you're being funny, but you're not. That's not funny. Doom and Mario, yeah, that's awful. Guilty Gear and BlazBlue, a long overdue crossover. Yeah, that would. I mean, they're both Arc System works, so that could work. The Tales series and Final Fantasy, that might work. This is my friend Andrew. He writes, Capcom versus Squaresoft fighting game. Bonus points if both use games that aren't necessarily classic Japan-developed series like Street Fighter or Final Fantasy. It'd be interesting. Tomb Raider and Uncharted, yeah, that could work. I think Castlevania and Metroid would be pretty sweet. 2D only, though. But they don't fit together. Like, yes, like the modern Castlevania games are based very much on Metroid, but like one's a science fiction interplanetary thing, and one is a medieval vampire horror thing. It wouldn't work. Silent Hill and Pokemon, like, come on, that's not funny. That's stupid. SingStar and Parappa the Rapper. Okay, you kind of got something there. And then he also says, or Connect and Parappa. Connect's not a game series, but I kind of see what you're going for. Maybe the time is right for Parappa to come back. Okay, this is funny. This is my friend Jesse. The Armageddon time he writes, Tetrasphere versus Katamari Damacy 3D Battle Future Perfect. That's actually funny. He says, no, but seriously, I'd enjoy Zelda crossing over Castlevania. If done right, it could be amazing. Ganon/Dracula/Fic would be scary, though. Well, it's probably already out there. I don't know. I don't see Zelda crossing over with Castlevania, although that's a better idea than the Metroid one. Kirby and Mega Man, two of the greatest enemy copiers, join forces to destroy evil. It makes more sense than Mega Man and Street Fighter. Well, I think it makes the same amount of sense. Let's see, DC versus Marvel would be a legal nightmare, though. Well, not as much as you'd think. I mean, they did DC versus Mortal Kombat, although now they're owned by the same company pretty much, and they did Marvel versus Street Fighter, so I don't see why they couldn't be able to put that together. I mean, Disney and Warner Brothers are the two owners there, and they may be eternal rivals, but they have come together. I mean, remember Who Framed Roger Rabbit? That was the first time you had Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny in an official capacity together on screen like that. Let's see, but I want to say those are not really video game crossovers; those are comic book crossovers, and that's been done in the comics too. Garrett O'Rourke says Fallout and Legend of Zelda. Garrett, really, I'm gonna have to pop you on the head for that. I know I don't normally say people's names, but Garrett's a Kazarth Studios employee, so I'm calling him out for that terrible idea. Okay, so this next person says Fallout and Legend of Zelda. That's terrible. See, it's supposed to be two things that would go well together, not two things that wouldn't go together at all. Like a Dead Space and Oregon Trail. I'm sure you think that's very funny, but I can assure you that it is not. Everything and everything else, see, once again, dumb. Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat getting a lot of votes here. Fire Emblem and Disgaea, that could work. WWE versus TNA, that's not really a video game crossover, that's two wrestling federations, so I don't know. Another one says Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter. That's definitely the most popular answer. Mario versus Mega Man. I don't know. Maybe. I wouldn't mind seeing Mega Man like making an appearance in the Smash Brothers though. Predator and Grand Theft Auto. See, that's dumb. Predator and Grand Theft Auto. Really. I can't get like actual answers to these questions. That you'd like to see that? Really? You would buy that? That's like the dumbest idea ever. Weird one, but Star Wars and Turok. Now you can kill dinosaurs with lightsabers. Well, I wouldn't say that doesn't go, but the Turok series of games is so ridiculous that you could pretty much throw anything in there. But whatever. Maroi, I think he means Mario, or her, she means Mario. Mario and Donkey Kong. That's not a crossover at all. They first appeared in the same game. Donkey Kong and Mario exist in the same universe. That's not a crossover. As a matter of fact, there is a game called Mario vs. Donkey Kong, and it's gotten like 3 or 4 sequels. So, this person says Disgaea and Monster Hunter. Okay, Shin Megami Tensei and Pokemon. No, I don't think so. Super Mario Brothers and Grand Theft Auto 4. Mario Brothers meet Nico and Roman in Liberty City, where they are called to unplug Roman's toilet. See, I wasn't really asking for jokes on this. I was asking for people to actually give their opinions to what video game crossovers they would actually like to see. That's just awful. Duke Nukem and Doom would be pretty cool crossover. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I like the Serious Sam version better. Doom and Final Fantasy, once again, not a good idea. Bioshock and Doom. I don't know if that would work, but it would be interesting to see. And finally, Metal Gear and Resident Evil. So what would you do? Be stealth attacking zombies? Well, it makes slightly more sense than some of these, but everybody, I am disappointed. I'm going to try and come up with a question that you guys can't cock up that badly for the next question of the week. So keep an eye out on the Facebook for that. I mean, wow. Really? Wow. Let's talk about the news. Okay, so we got some bad news coming out of Capcom. Well, it could be bad news. It looks like bad news. And when it looks like bad news, and it sounds like bad news, and it smells like bad news, it's probably bad news. Capcom is bitching that some of their games aren't selling as well as they thought they would. Resident Evil 6, DMC, Devil May Cry didn't sell as well as they were hoping for. Of course, they were hoping for like 5-6 million, sales each. So they said that these games, they're suspicious for their financial woes, included delayed response to the expanding digital contents market, decline in quality due to excessive outsourcing, and insufficient coordination between marketing and game development divisions in overseas markets. Or maybe you're just expecting too much. So how are they going to fix this problem that doesn't really exist? They said they may raise the quality of their games by reevaluating games that are in progress and moving to in-house development. Now, that means that some titles may be canceled. So you may be seeing a rash of cancellations from Capcom due to the inability to respond to market needs, or in the case of outsourced games, not being compatible with current business strategy. They didn't say what games they're reevaluating at this point, but this could be a source of woe. Certainly, I don't think we're going to be seeing any Mega Man games anytime soon. If you missed out on the Legend of Zelda Symphony of the Goddess tour, which was the symphony tour of Zelda music, they are doing a Season 2. So I have the dates and venues for you. So if you want to see this, it's been getting great reviews. You can see it in Atlanta at the Cobb Energy Performing Arts Center on June 6th, in San Francisco at the Louis M. Davies Symphony Hall on June 10th, in Montreal at the Place des Arts at June 14th, Los Angeles at the Greek Theater at June 21st, Austin, Texas at the Long Center on June 29th, Philadelphia at the Mann Center for the Performing Arts on July 25th, Toronto at the Sony Center for the Performing Arts on September 7th, and in Seattle at Benaroya Hall on September 12th. Also, those were all previous venues that they had played at. There will be 2 new venues. They'll be in Baltimore at the Joseph Meyerhoff Symphony Hall on July 27th, and Grand Rapids, Michigan, the DeVos Performance Hall on October 19th. So if you want to check these out, go to zelda-symphony.com to locate ticket vendors, or I guess you could probably just go straight to Ticketmaster. They probably sell it, but that's where you would go. And if you're a Club Nintendo member, you would get a 15% discount on all ticket sales. So you might want to look into that if you're seriously thinking of attending one of these concerts. Here's one from the rumor mill. There may be a remake of Dragon Quest Monsters 2 coming. I normally don't report on rumors unless I think there's something to it. This is coming from Operation Rainfall, and it is coming from a trademark from Square Enix. They have trademarked Irutu Ruka no Fushuji na Fushuji na Kage, which means Iru and Luka's Wonderful Mysterious Keys. Now, the first Dragon Quest Monsters title was remade in Japan as Dragon Quest Monsters Terry's Wonderland, and Dragon Quest Monsters 2 was released in 2 versions, and those are the 2 characters, Iru and Luka. So it looks like it's either a remake of Dragon Quest Monsters 2 or some sort of reimagining, or perhaps some sort of spin-off using those characters. Would not be surprising. Terry's Wonderland did really well in Japan, so, that would be a big deal. Okay, let's see. What else do I got here? Okay, yeah, I said I was going to talk about Pizza Hut. You will very soon be able to, or actually I think it is already a thing. You can order pizza, and I put that in air quotes, pizza, using your Xbox 360. There is now a Pizza Hut app for the console. You can place an order directly from your dashboard using this app. You don't need to go to your computer or your phone or anything. I don't know, like, do you pay with Microsoft points? But here is Larry Herb from Xbox. He says, we're always looking at ways to give our audience more of what they're interested in. If you look at our audience, they love pizza. I mean, who doesn't? It has an international appeal, and Pizza Hut is a recognized brand that matches up well with the Xbox brand. Well, okay, there you go. I mean, yeah. I don't condone ordering Pizza Hut, but let me tell you, ordering a pizza from your Xbox, it's a good idea. I just, like I said, I don't condone anybody actually eating the Pizza Hut food. I do have 2 news stories about video games being turned into movies, something that happens less often now than it used to, but it does happen. Ratchet & Clank is getting an animated movie that will be seeing the light of day sometime in 2015. So there you go. They're hoping to complete the movie by third quarter of 2014 and release it in the next year. Here is a quote from James Stevenson. He's the Insomniac community lead. He says, one of the biggest questions we've gotten in the last few years is, when are you going to make a Ratchet & Clank movie? The truth is, we've wanted to do a movie for a long time. Ratchet & Clank's action, humor, and galaxy-spanning adventures have been really the basis for a fantastic game series, and we think it translates perfectly to the big screen. Well, let's see if it translates perfectly. Another game that is being turned into a movie, albeit a direct-to-video one, will be Heavenly Sword. It will be an animated movie. It will be a direct-to-video release. If you're unfamiliar with Heavenly Sword, it was a game on the PlayStation 3. You know, it did pretty well. So that's going to happen. I think the chick from Heavenly Sword is in that PlayStation All-Stars game as well. So there you have it. Okay, I do have some news coming out of Nintendo, but I'm kind of saving that for last. Okay, here's one. Here's something I can talk about. If you remember the game Dux, as in D-U-X, it was a game it was a shoot 'em up that came out for the Dreamcast, actually back in 2009, and I think I talked about it. It is getting a re-release, Dux 1.5. It is still for the Dreamcast. So basically, they are. It's going out to people who have supported the game's sequel on Kickstarter. It's apparently just in an upgraded version. I don't know why they're developing specifically for Dreamcast, especially since if you look at the graphics, it could have been done on anything. So there you have it. But you know, I just figured I'd mention that. A lot of people into the retro game scene, so there you go. Speaking of the retro game scene, if you want to own the Mega Man 3 soundtrack, you can get that on Capcom's web store for $9. It has 43 tracks, pretty much everything from Mega Man 3, as well as some remixes and things like that. So you can check that out if you wish. That's kind of a big deal. Okay, so there are going to be some shakeups over at Nintendo. Some people are projected to be retiring soon, so they're shifting around some management. Satoru Iwata, the president of Nintendo, is going to be the new CEO of Nintendo of America. He will be overseeing the COO, which is Reggie Fils-Aimé. So just figured I'd mention that. Speaking of Nintendo, lots of news coming out of there. Let me talk about the Virtual Console releases that are coming out very soon. Here, so okay, the Wii U Virtual Console launch list. You know, not many. You know, there was like Balloon Fight, Donkey Kong Jr. Excite Bike, Ice Climbers, Kirby's Adventure, Punch Out, F-Zero, and Super Mario World. Well, the Virtual Console is coming, though, and it is actually, it might already be available. This says this week, and that was April 23rd. So, yeah, that was yesterday. So this week, those games, there's not many of them, but Balloon Fight, Donkey Kong Jr. Excite Bike, Ice Climber, Kirby's Adventure, Punch Out, F-Zero, and Super Mario World are the launch titles. I wish they would just, you know, release everything that was on the Wii right away. That would probably be for the best, and not do this whole like slow crawl thing. But there you have it. Okay, Nintendo Direct had a whole bunch of news, and a lot of people are excited. So let me go through everything they talked about. Of course, they talked a little bit about the Year of Luigi. You know, and there will be new Super Luigi U coming summer 2013, which is the first major DLC for New Super Mario Bros. U, which will be Luigi-centric, so keep an eye out for that. There are also two new Mario spin-off games, Mario and Luigi Dream Team and Mario Golf World Tour. Mario and Luigi Dream Team will be coming on August 11th, 2013, and Mario Golf World Tour, a summer release. They also announced a new Mario Party game for the 3DS. And there's a new Yoshi's Island game coming in. Now, I don't think this is related to the Yoshi's Epic Yarn style of game, because it doesn't look like that. But they are doing a Yoshi's Island game on the 3DS. It will have a ton of features from the original games and ones that are built around the 3DS. More information on that coming out later. Also, Mario vs. Donkey Kong Minis on the Move, the latest in the Mario vs. Donkey Kong series, will be released on May 9th. People want to talk about Earthbound. Earthbound is coming to the Wii U Virtual Console, blah, blah, blah. There you go. They did talk about Pikmin 3, but they didn't talk about the release date. So, they didn't talk about it, at least during Nintendo Direct, but Nintendo of America did reveal the release date for Pikmin 3, so I can give you that. Pikmin 3 will be coming out August 4th. That's a must-have for me, at least. Let's see. I also have a release date for Game & Wario. That will be coming on the Wii U on June 23rd. Okay, the big news is the Zelda news. Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons and Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages will both be coming to the eShop, as well as they mentioned this, a new game set in the Legend of Zelda Link to the Past universe. There is a trailer for it out there on YouTube. Operation Rainfall is currently calling it the Legend of Zelda Link to the Past 2, but it doesn't have an official title. Guild 01 is getting a sequel to Guild 02, and that is coming. I'm not sure whether that's coming out in America, but it's coming out in Japan for certainly. Bravely Default, however, will definitely be getting an American release, and that's kind of a big deal. So there you have it. Actually, the full title of that is Bravely Default Flying Fairy, and that is coming next year. So, lots of great stuff coming out of Nintendo. It's sort of amazing the way they're just sort of bombarding people. In the last Nintendo Direct, they were talking about a game called X, which may be the sequel to Xenoblade Chronicles, and they also talked about the crossover between Shin Megami Tensei and Fire Emblem. So there's a lot going on. It's actually sort of a nutty time to be a Nintendo fan. It's crazy. But that's it for the news for this week. So I'm going to move on to sales figures, and then we'll wrap up the show. Or actually, before I get to the sales figures, I just realized this is the last show of April, so I will do releases for May. Let me tell you what's coming out in May. So here is a list of the games coming out in May. Not all the games coming out in May, but as many as I have release dates for and everything. So, May 1st, we'll see the release of Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon for Windows and Xbox Live Arcade, and Fez will be coming to Windows. On May 2nd, Might and Magic Heroes 6 Shades of Darkness will be coming to Windows. On May 7th, Deus Ex Human Revolution Director's Cut will be coming to the Wii U. On May 9th, Mario and Donkey Kong Minis on the Move will be coming to the 3DS. Just kind of mentioned that earlier. On May 14th, Metro Last Night will be coming to Windows, PlayStation 3, and Xbox 360. On the 16th, Mega Man 5 will be coming to the 3DS. On May 21st, Fast and Furious Showdown will be coming to Windows, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, Wii U, and 3DS. Lego Batman 2 DC Superheroes will be coming to the Wii U. And Resident Evil Revelations will be coming to Windows, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and Wii U. On May 22nd, Call of Juarez Gunslinger will be coming to Windows, PlayStation Network, and Xbox Live Arcade, and The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing will be coming to Windows and Xbox Live Arcade. I hope that has nothing to do with that movie. This is interesting. May 24th, we'll see the release of Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D for the 3DS. May 28th, we'll see Fuse for PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, and Grid 2 for Windows, PlayStation 3, and Xbox 360. May 30th, and I did just mention this, The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages will be coming to the 3DS. On May 31st, Leisure Suit Larry Reloaded will be coming to Windows, Mac, Linux, PlayStation Network, Xbox Live Arcade, iOS, and Droid devices. Painkiller, Hell and Damnation will be coming to PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, and Kinetic Void will be coming to Windows, Mac, and Linux. And that is the releases for May, at least the ones that I know about. Nothing really too exciting there for me. Don't think I'm going to be picking any of those. I mean, Donkey Kong, I don't know, I haven't even played the Wii one yet, so, It's kind of interesting. June is more interesting with games like The Last of Us and Game & Wario and Deadpool. I have pre-ordered Deadpool, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Let's talk about the sales figures. So let's see. Okay, so let's talk about the top 10 best-selling games in Japan for the week ending in April 14th. Number one selling game was Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon on the 3DS. That sold 59,688 copies. Card Fight Vanguard Ride to Victory on the 3DS sold 44,685 copies. Animal Crossing New Leaf on the 3DS sold 36,962 copies. One Piece Pirate Warriors 2 for PlayStation 3 sold 12,619 copies. Pro Yaku Spirits 2013 on the PlayStation 3 sold 7,992 copies. Taiko no Tatsujin Wii Super Deluxe Edition on the Wii sold 6,846 copies. New Super Mario Bros. 2 on the 3DS sold 6,392 copies. Pro Yaku Spirits 2013 on the PlayStation Portable sold 6,299 copies. Muramasa the Demon Blade on the Vita sold 6,180 copies. And Sword Art Online Infinity Moment, that's on PlayStation Portable, sold 6,090 copies. In Europe, the big seller was Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon on the 3DS, sold 33,926 copies. Bioshock Infinite on the Xbox 360 sold 28,491 copies. The same game for PlayStation 3 sold 24,806 copies. Tomb Raider on the PlayStation 3, 24,253 copies. The same game for Xbox 360 sold 20,352 copies. SimCity for PC, 19,557 copies. I wonder how many of them are actually playing it. FIFA Soccer 13 on the PlayStation 3 sold 19,503 copies. Defiance on Xbox 360 sold 19,456 copies. FIFA Soccer 13 on the Xbox 360 sold 19,074 copies. And Call of Duty Black Ops 2 on the PlayStation 3, 16,431 copies. In America, the top-selling game was Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon on the 3DS, 75,404 copies sold. Bioshock Infinite for Xbox 360 sold 50,530 copies. Defiance on the Xbox 360, 35,487 copies. Call of Duty Black Ops 2 for Xbox 360, 29,405 copies. Gears of War Judgment for Xbox 360, 24,706 copies. Bioshock Infinite on PlayStation 3, 23,019 copies. Halo 4 for Xbox 360, 21,663 copies. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Gates to Infinity on the 3DS, 20,073 copies. God of War Ascension on PlayStation 3, 18,783 copies. And NBA 2K13 on the Xbox 360, 17,818 copies. So as if I don't have to tell you, globally, the big winner was Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, just inching out Bioshock Infinite, which sold slightly less. Also a good showing for Tomb Raider, but nothing amazing. For consoles, in Japan, the top-selling console for the week was the 3DS, 47,333 units sold. The PlayStation 3, 14,940 units sold. The Vita, 14,624 units sold. Certainly a big boost for the Vita in Japan. The Wii U, 9,899 units sold. The PlayStation Portable, 7,766 units sold. The Xbox 360, 426 of those sold. And the DS, believe it or not, there were 60 people in Japan who still didn't have a DS. And I kind of think maybe they're replacing their old one, but just buy a 3DS already. In Europe, the top-selling console was the PlayStation 3, 54,037 of those sold. The 3DS sold 39,648 units. Xbox 360, 35,036 units. The Wii, 9,270 units. It's very high for the Wii. The Wii U, 8,856 units. The Vita, 7,332 units. The DS, 5,082 units. And the PlayStation Portable, 1,129 units. In America, The top seller was the 3DS, 50,325 units sold. The Xbox 360, not far behind, 41,774 units sold. PlayStation 3, 34,214 units sold. The DS, that's a lot of DS sales in America, 15,834. The Wii, 15,573. Wii U, 12,774. The Vita, 5,547, and the PlayStation Portable, 1,276. So globally, the 3DS was the big winner, followed by PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, Wii U, Vita, Wii, DS, and the PSP was last. So, filled up a whole hour almost there. So there you go. That's the show for this week. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Look out for the question of the week on Facebook, and post your questions and comments here on this video right here, and I will see you guys next week. VMX out.